वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा मैया सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा मैया सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि नाम संकीर्तन की। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you all for our Tuesday Gita class. So we have been discussing the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and today we are going to discuss from verse number 19. So the verse is like this: Yata deepo nivatasto Nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmana yata dipo nivatasto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmana yata dipo nivatasto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmana. Anyone would like to repeat the verse? Yes, Radha Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yata deepo निवातस्थो नेङ्गते सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यत चित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else who wants to repeat? Okay. So the word to word is like this. Yata as deepaha, a lamp. Nivatastah, in a place without wind. Na does not. Ingate, waver. Sa, this. Upama, comparison. Smrita is considered. Yoginaha, of the yogi. Yata chittasya, whose mind is controlled. Yunjataha, constantly engaged. Yogam, in meditation. Atmanaha, on transcendence. So the translation is like this. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. So Krishna is, the words here are very simple to understand. Yata, so yata means just like. Deepa, deepa is a lamp. Nivatasta, vata means air, wind, right? Vata is wind. Nivata means no wind. Staha means a place. So Krishna is saying here, just like a lamp which is situated in a place without wind. Nengate, ingate means to waver. Nengate means does not waver. So a lamp, a deepa, which is situated in a place where there is no wind, the flame of the lamp does not waver, it remains steady. Similarly, upama, so in this example, in this comparison, a yogi is like this lamp, and his meditation on the Supreme is so fixed. Yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. So his consciousness, his mind is so controlled because he is always engaged in the service of God. So how can we control the mind? So this entire chapter, Dhyana Yoga, is about controlling the mind. So how can we control the mind? Yunjata. Yunjata means to be engaged constantly. So one who has controlled the mind and one who is constantly engaged in his meditation, for such a yogi, his mind does not waver. His mind remains steady, just like a lamp that is there in a wind, in a place where there is no wind. Similarly, a yogi, his mind is steady because he is constantly absorbed in transcendence. So Prabhupada gives a very small purport. A truly Krishna conscious person, so one who is truly Krishna conscious, is always absorbed in meditation. So these two words are important, always and absorbed. So a devotee means a truly Krishna conscious person is always Krishna conscious. Not that sometimes Krishna conscious, sometimes not. Always Krishna conscious. And how is he Krishna conscious? Because he is absorbed in transcendence. The word absorption is also very, very important. Be completely absorbed in our devotional service. Just like Hanumanji is so absorbed in his service. And when Hanumanji is chanting the names of Lord Ram, he's very absorbed. When he's doing his service, he's so absorbed. So we were seeing during the Ramayana, when Hanumanji goes to Lanka, he is amidst all kinds of temptations. But even amidst all that, he's focused, he's absorbed in his service. He's not affected. Nengate. Hanumanji goes to Lanka, but his bhakti doesn't get wavered. His bhakti is steady. Why is it steady? Because he's absorbed in his service to the Supreme Lord. So in this world, there are so many tribulations that keep coming. There are so many temptations. There are so many winds that keep coming. But it is important for us to remain always absorbed, not sometimes absorbed, always absorbed. So that's why in this Krishna conscious movement, Srila Prabhupada has given us so much variety so that we can remain always absorbed in Krishna. Either we hear about Krishna, or we chant Krishna's name, or we worship Krishna, right? We read books, we preach to others, we do some kind of service. We cook for the Lord, we paint for the Lord. So it's important that we have lot of engagements. Yunjatah. If you remain constantly engaged, and if you have this kind of absorption, then we can become a truly Krishna conscious person, and we can remain steady. Our bhakti will not waver. Steady bhakti. Right? So that's what Krishna explains here. Text 22 to 23. These are set of 20, 21, 22, 4 verses. Very important verses. Okay, so we'll recite the shloka. Yatro pramate chittam nirudam yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattad buddhigrayam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvata. Okay, thank you. Just 1 minute. Yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tata yasmin stito na dukkhena guruna pi vichalyate tam vidyat dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samgitam. I'll repeat it once again, then you all can repeat. Yatro pramate chittam nirudam yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattad buddhigrayam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvata yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tata yasmin stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate tam vidyat dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga sangitam. Anyone would like to repeat all these verses? Yes, yes, Sarmishta Mataji. Yeah. Sarmishta Mataji can repeat first, and then Radha Prem Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, from which number sloka? 20 to 23, na?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
It's there on the screen.
Yes, Prabhuji, I got it. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga shevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati sukhamatyantikam tadbuddhi grahyamatindrayam vetti jatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattatah jang labdhva cha param labham manyate nadhikam tatah yasmin stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate tang vidya dukkha sanjoga viyogam yoga sangitam.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Radha Prem Mataji, 1 minute. Let me unmute. Yeah. Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati sukamatyantikam yattad buddhigrahyamatīndriyam वेत्ति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः यं लब्ध्वा चापरं लाभं मन्यते नाधिकं ततः यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचाल्यते तं विद्या दुःखसंयोगं वियोगं योगसंज्ञितम्.
Yes, thank you. So we'll read the word to word. Yatra, in that state of affairs where uparamate sees because one feels transcendental happiness. 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. Chittam, mental activities. Nirudam, being refrained from matter. Yoga sevaya, by performance of yoga. Yatra, in which. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Atmana, by the pure mind. Atmanam, the self. Pashyan, realizing the position of Atmani, in the self. Tushyati, one becomes satisfied. Sukham, happiness. Atyantikam, supreme. Yat, which. Tat, that. Buddhi, intelligence, by intelligence. Grahyam, accessible. Atindriyam, transcendental. Veti, one knows. Yatra, wherein. No, never. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Ayam, he. Sthitaha, situated. Chalati, moves. Tattvata, from the truth. Yam, that which. Labdva, by attainment. Cha, also. Aparam, by other. Labam, gain. Manyate, considers. No, never. Adhikam, more. Tataha, than that. Yasmin, in which. Sthitaha, being situated. No, never. Dukkena, by miseries. Gurunapi, even though very difficult. Vichalyate, becomes shaken. Tam, that. Vidyat, you must know. Dukkha samyoga, of the miseries of material contact. Viyogam, extermination. Yoga samgitam, called trance in yoga. So these are like 4 verses together. So reading the word to word takes time, but it's actually important to read also. So when we read the word to word meanings, the shloka becomes a little more clear, and an understanding of Sanskrit also improves. So Srila Prabhupada, when he wrote this Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada took a lot of effort in making these word to word meanings also, right? So we can, while reading this, we can appreciate how much effort Srila Prabhupada has made so that we can actually understand the verses properly. So these are set of 4 verses, very important verses. So Krishna is saying here, in the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous mode, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, he thinks that there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This is indeed actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So, what is the stage of samadhi? So, in this Patanjali Yoga Marg, you have Ashtanga Yoga. Finally, the aim is to reach samadhi. So, what is the stage of samadhi? Prabhupada, Krishna explains in the first line only. Yatra pramarte chittam nirudam yoga sevaya. In the stage of trance, one's mind is free from material mental activities. That means in the stage of samadhi, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, by practice of yoga, one is gradually freed from material concepts. So in this material world, we our mind is filled with so much material concepts, mental concoction. The mind is always scheming and planning to enjoy. By practice of yoga, so yoga is a process where we are getting freed from material concepts. So whatever yoga it is, whether it is bhakti yoga or any other yoga, The aim of yoga is detachment. Vairagya. We want to get detached from this material world because we understand that we are not this body and we don't belong to this material world. This material world is just a temporary place for us. We shouldn't have been here, but we have come here because we have envied Krishna. We have come in this world. So the practice of yoga, when one practices yoga, one gradually gets detached. And Prabhupada says that that is the primary characteristic of yoga. What is the primary characteristic of yoga? The primary characteristic of yoga is that one should be detached from material things. So it is not that someone who knows yoga, asanas, one who knows pranayam, it doesn't mean that he is practicing yoga. Yoga means one has to be detached. And Prabhupada explains very clearly, I think it's in this verse or in this verse only, Prabhupada says that a yogi who's enjoying, he's not at all a yogi. Someone who says, I know asanas, I know pranayam, but simultaneously his spirit of enjoyment is still strong. That means he is not understood yoga. The primary characteristic of yoga is that one has to control one's mind. If that is not there, yoga is not possible only. So someone may say, okay, I will control the mind, but then I want happiness, no? How will I achieve happiness? Anandamayo bhyasar. Because the nature of the soul is to be happy. So if I control my mind, I try to restrain my mind and senses, how will I be happy? So Krishna explains here how we can become happy. Yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. If one comes to this platform of perfection of yoga, when one tries to practice yoga, one will understand oneself. Cheto darpana marjanam. One's impurities will go and one will realize, one will get the eyes to see oneself. Now we are trying to see the world, but we don't even know who we are. So how can one see the self? By the pure mind. Until the mind becomes pure, we can't see the self. And only when we see the self, we can actually be happy. Pashyan atmani tushyati. Only when we see the self by the pure mind. That means when we practice bhakti yoga, when we chant the names of Krishna, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the consciousness will get purified gradually, and then we can see the self, and then we can rejoice in the self. So real happiness is only on the platform of the soul. The happiness on the platform of mind and senses, definitely there is happiness, but that happiness is temporary and it doesn't satisfy the soul. It will not make you peaceful, it will agitate you further. So Krishna is explaining only when we control the mind and senses and when we purify the mind by practice of bhakti yoga, we can see the self and we can be happy. And what kind of happiness Krishna is saying here? Sukham atyantikam. How much happiness we will experience? Unlimited happiness, boundless happiness. Sukham atyantikam. That is what is awaiting us if we actually perform the process of bhakti yoga strictly, rigidly. If we perform, this is what is awaiting us. Unlimited happiness. We recently went to Vrindavan. We visited the samadhis and the bhajan kutir of so many of the acharyas, and all these great souls, all the Goswamis. They control their senses. They left everything. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were the prime minister, the finance minister of Nawab Hussain Shah. They had unlimited wealth, great learning. They had everything, respect in society, but they just gave up everything and went to Vrindavan. Raghunath Das Goswami just rejected everything. His father was a millionaire, billionaire. He rejected everything. He goes to Vrindavan. In Radha Kund, he's doing bhajan there. Why? Because he understands that real happiness is situated on the experience on the spiritual platform. Sukham atyantikam. One can experience boundless happiness in the spiritual platform. That is why Rishabdev, in his teachings to his sons, he explains, Nayam deha deha bhajam daloke, kashtan kamam harhate vidbujam ye, tapo divyam putrakayena satvam. Uh, I forgot the last line. Brahma Saukyam to Anantam. Shuddhyed yasmat brahma sokyanta anantam. So Rishabdev is saying that the enjoyment of the senses, sense gratification, is experienced even by animals. Right? But what should a yogi do? A yogi should focus on boundless happiness. And how that is experienced? By undergoing austerity. Tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam shuddhyed yasmat brahma sokyam to anantam. So ananta sukha, unlimited happiness. Here Krishna is saying Sukham Atyantikam. Ananta Sukhya, Sukham Atyantikam is experienced in Brahma Sokyam on the spiritual platform. And how one will experience Shuddhyed Yasmad, when we purify our existence. So as long as the mind and senses are impure, there is no question of happiness. Only misery is there. So real happiness is experienced when the mind and senses are purified. And how do you purify it? By controlling it, tapo divyam, by controlling it and engaging it in the service of Krishna. And here there is another important word which Srila Prabhupada is stressing here on, buddhi grayam atindriyam. Atindriyam means transcendental. So one has to understand that one will experience happiness through transcendental senses. So here Krishna is talking about the platform of Samadhi. And Prabhupada is explaining here in the Patanjali Yoga Marg, right? Many people have this understanding that the stage of liberation or the stage of nirvana means you lose your existence. But here it says buddhi grayam atindriyam. So at the stage of liberation, senses are there. Senses are there, but what kind of senses? Transcendental senses. The senses become pure. Once the senses are pure, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. So when we engage the senses in the service of God, then the senses actually become pure. Like Prabhupada gives this example, a person who is sick, right? He's there in the hospital, he can't eat. He may feel that, Arey, I don't want this body only. This body is causing too much misery. But actually, the body is causing you misery because you are sick, you are hospitalized. But once you become healthy, you can actually experience good food also. Right? You can have a good experience with this body. So similarly, so many people have this understanding that liberation means that there are no senses. But it's not like that. In our state now, the senses are diseased. What is the disease? We are using the senses in sense gratification. And healthy condition means we are using the senses in the service of God. That is liberation. Liberation means coming back to the normal condition. So this condition where we are in now, this is an abnormal condition for us. We have forgotten our service to God. We are using the senses for ourselves. But the normal condition is when we use the senses in the service of God. So that is why Srila Prabhupada is quoting Patanjali from the Yoga Sutras, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratis Prasavaha Kaivalyam Swarupar Pratishta Va Chiti Shaktir Iti. So this is Yoga Sutra, where here Patanjali is explaining about what is liberation, Kaivalya. Kaivalya means liberation. So generally the Mayavadi's understanding of Kaivalya means oneness. You lose your existence. But here Prabhupada explains what is Kaivalya? Chitti Shaktir. Chitti Shaktir means internal potency, transcendental potency. That is why Krishna is saying here, Buddhigrayam Atindriyam. One is situated in the transcendental senses. So in order to experience pure spiritual happiness, one has to achieve transcendental senses. So the stage of liberation, it is not that we don't have any form, we don't have any senses. We have senses, but pure senses. So Prabhupada explained here, Kaival means actually the constitutional position of the living entity. And what is that? Jivera Swarup Hoi Krishnera Nityadas. Bhakti Bhukti Hitva Anyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti. The definition of Bhukti is to be situated in one's original Swarupa. And what is one's original Swarupa? As Atma, we are all servants of Krishna. We have to use our senses in the service of God. That is the position of liberation. So Prabhupada is explaining that this is real life. What is real life? Real life is the life of liberation. Now the life that we are experiencing is a life of illusion, life of Maya. And real life is the life of Krishna, living with Krishna in the spiritual world. That is real life. We are considering material life to be real life, but this is not a real life. Just like a dream can never be real life. So this world is like a dream. We are sleeping on the lap of Maya and we are dreaming that we are this body, we are the enjoyer, we are this, we are that. These are all dreams. This is not the real life. Real life is when we awaken. That is why Lord Chaitanya comes, all the avatars of the Lord come. Krishna explains Bhagavad Gita, and all the great souls, the devotees of the Lord, come and inspire us to get up. Jiva jago, Gora Chandra bole, Kota nidra jago maya, Pisha chira kole. So Lord Chaitanya is coming and inspiring all of us, get up, wake up. How long you will sleep in the lap of Maya? Wake up to the real life. So the real life is spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. That is real life. And when we take to real life, Krishna is explaining here, we will experience spiritual happiness. Sukham Atyantikam, unlimited happiness. In this material world, happiness is very little happiness. But in the spiritual world, we will experience unlimited. Anandhambuti vardhanam pratipadam, purnamrita swadanam. We will experience an unlimited ocean of happiness. And what will happen once we achieve such kind of happiness? Veti yatra na chaivayam stitas chalati tattvata. So such a person who's experiencing unlimited happiness never departs from the truth. That means he never leaves the process of Krishna consciousness. Come what may, he sticks to the process of Krishna consciousness. Kanda hi deha yaya yadi pran tabu ami vadane na chadimu harinam. Haridas Thakur, when he was beaten in 22 marketplaces, and the Qazi, the local governor and all the Muslims, they were telling him, stop chanting Hare Krishna. Give up your mala. Give up Krishna. Haridas Thakur had this faith. No, whatever happens, I will not depart from this Krishna consciousness. Veti yatrana chaivayam sitas chalati tattvata. Such a person who understands the process of Krishna consciousness and one who experiences something in the process of Krishna consciousness will never go away. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his song, he explains, "E sab chodat kahi nahi jau, e sab chodat parana harao." Bhaktivinoda Thakur is glorifying Vrindavan, Radha Kund, Govardhan, and all these holy places, and anything that is connected to Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, "My dear Lord, I have developed this conviction. Without Krishna consciousness, leaving Vrindavan Dham and leaving the association of devotees, I will not go anywhere. ये सब छोड़त कहीं नहीं जाऊं, ये सब छोड़त परा न हराऊं." If I'll give up my life, but I will not give up the process of Krishna consciousness. So one who experiences this conviction, this is the state of Samadhi, where one's mind is pure, one experiences real happiness, and one never departs from the truth. Whatever happens. Haridas Thakur was beaten. Haridas Thakur the prostitute came to allure Haridas Thakur. Maya Devi came to allure Haridas Thakur. But Haridas Thakur never departed from the truth. Always fixed. Whatever temptations came, he never left. So we should all be aspiring to come to this platform where whatever comes in front of us, we will not give up a service to Krishna. We will not give up a service to Guru. And then Krishna says here, Yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tata. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Yam labdva chaparam labam. Manyate nadikam tata. There is nothing greater than this. So what we are experiencing in the process of Krishna consciousness, we should develop this conviction that this is the greatest thing. I don't want to leave this process and go. Even if I'm given $1 million, $10 million, we should not compromise the process of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is telling all of us what kind of conviction we need to develop. This is the kind of conviction. Yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tata. There is nothing greater than the process of Krishna consciousness. This is the highest thing. Aho dukkam maha dukkam dukka dukka taram yataha kachartam vismritam ratna harer namaiva kevalam. The holy name of Krishna is the actual jewel. In front of this, all the other pleasures of this world are like pieces of glass. When Ravan was coming to propose, to Sita Devi, telling Sita Devi, give up, Lord, give up Ram. He's a useless person. Surrender unto me. Enjoy Lanka. You will become the queen of Lanka. So many things. Sita Devi takes this blade of grass and throws in front of Ravan and tells Ravan, all your Lanka and all the pleasures of the world, everything put together is like this blade of grass. Trini kritya jagat sarvam rajate sakalopari chidanandam maya shuddham harer namaiva kevalam. The Kevalastakam, it comes, compared to the holy name of Krishna, the entire world, the pleasures of this world is like a blade of grass, insignificant. So we have to develop this kind of conviction that there is nothing greater than the holy names of Krishna. There is nothing greater than this. This is the highest thing. We are ready to give up anything for this. And being situated in this situation, in this platform, yasmin stitona dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulty. Gurunapi, guru. The another meaning of the word guru means very great difficulty. Gurunapi vichalyate. One who is situated on this platform of Krishna consciousness, one who's developed this kind of conviction, even in greatest difficulty, he is not shaken. He doesn't get shaken. And Prabhupada explains here that a person who is fixed in Krishna consciousness, even if there is disease, even if there is scarcity, even if someone very dear to him dies, he is not affected. He is callous towards such incidental occurrences. He understands that these things are going to happen. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apaino anityas tam titikshasya bharata. So these things will happen. Sometimes good times, sometimes bad times. He tolerates. He focuses on his most important duty. Prabhupada is writing here in the purport. He is alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness. Accidents never deviate him. Right? So whatever happens in life, he is not deviated. So this is what we have to learn when we study the life of all the great acharyas. This is what we need to see in their life. Whatever difficulties came, they were never affected. I was reading the life of Mirabai. Mirabai, she had so much love for Krishna. She was actually married to one king. But even then she had so much love for Krishna. Many people were accusing her, telling that she is having some other relationship and so many things. But Mirabai tolerated everything, and her bhakti to Krishna didn't reduce. We have the example of Prahlada Maharaja. Hiranyakashipu gave so much torture to Prahlad, but Prahlad, he never deviated. Guru napi vichalyate. Even in the greatest difficulty, he was not shaken. Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 marketplaces. So many things done to him. Not shaken at all. So this is the platform of Samadhi. If we try to develop these things, then we will achieve liberation. And this is actual freedom. Tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samgitam. In this way, we will actually achieve freedom. How we will achieve freedom? By controlling the senses, by trying to see and realize the Atma, trying to find pleasure in the process of Krishna consciousness, and and trying to develop this conviction that there is nothing greater than the process of Krishna consciousness. And if you remain steady, sukhe dukke bule nako vadane harinam bolore. Good times, bad times, whatever comes in life, if you continue to chant Hare Krishna, then definitely we will achieve the stage of perfection, the stage of Samadhi. We will read text 24. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yoga nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamams tyaktva sarvan ashesatah Manas evendriya gramam vinayamya samantata sa nishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamam tyaktva sarvan ashesatah manasaivendriya gramam viniyamya samantata. Anyone would like to repeat? Yeah. Yes.
सा निश्चयेन युक्तव्यो योगो निर्विण्ण चेतसा संकल्प प्रभवन् कामं त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् शेषतः मनश्चैवेन्द्रिय ग्रामं विनियम्य समन्तता.
Yes. Okay, we'll read the word to word. Saha, that. Okay, someone else has raised their hand. Param Jalabu, yeah.
सनिश्चयेन युक्तव्यो योगनिर्विण्ण चेतसः संकल्प प्रभवान् कामां त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् अशेषतः मनसेवेन्द्रिय ग्रामां विनियम्य समन्ततः.
Yeah, we'll read the word to word. Saha, that. Nishchayena, with firm determination. Yoktavya, must be practiced. Yoga, yoga system. Anirvinna chetasaha, without deviation. Sankalpa, mental speculation. Prabhavan, born of. Kaman, material desires. Tektva, giving up. 1 minute. Yeah. Sarvan, all. Ashesataha, completely. Manasa, by the mind. Eva, certainly. Indriya gramam, the full set of senses. Viniyamya, regulating. Samantataha, from all sides. Translation. This is also a very important verse. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So here Krishna is saying first that one should develop determination. So nishtayena yoktavyo, with firm determination and faith. So how one should practice yoga, how one should practice bhakti? With determination and faith. And one should not be deviated. Right? So in this world, there will be a lot of options of deviation. When Hanumanji takes this jump from Rameshwaram to Lanka, he is going to find Sita. So Hanumanji's jump is a lesson for all of us. So we have also taken this leap of faith, and we are also trying to find Bhakti Devi in our life. We are also trying to find Sita in our life. But the first obstacle that comes on the path of Hanumanji is this golden mountain called Mainak. And this Mainak comes and tells Hanumanji, please relax, enjoy yourself. You can enjoy, take rest, and then go ahead. So similarly, in the path of bhakti, there will be a lot of temptations that will come, that will deviate us. Radhanand Swami Maharaj in his Journey Home book, he writes, when in Rishikesh, Haridwar, the Ganga that is flowing with full speed, you'll find there are a lot of objects that fall in Lanka, in Ganga, in this river. It may be a log of wood, it may be the body of some animal. But very often, most of these objects get stranded on one of the shore. They don't reach the ocean. Similarly, many people may take up to the path of bhakti or the path of yoga, but the question is, will we all reach the end? Will we reach the ocean of Krishna? Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, will we meet that ocean, or we are going to get deviated is the question. So what is important is we remain determined. What is determination? Determination means whatever happens in life, even if there are unlimited failures, we don't give up. And Prabhupada is giving the example of that bird, that small sparrow that lays its egg on the shore of the ocean. And the ocean takes the egg of the sparrow. But the sparrow is so determined, it goes and tells the ocean, give my eggs back, otherwise I will dry you up. And the ocean is laughing. What will this little sparrow do? But the sparrow is very determined. With its beak, takes one drop of water, puts it on the other side. And the ocean is laughing and laughing and laughing. But seeing the determination of the sparrow, Garudji comes, the carrier of Vishnu. And Garuda comes and tells the ocean, give the eggs of the sparrow, otherwise I'll dry you up. Similarly, Prabhupada explains here, when we are determined, what will happen? When we are determined, the Lord will help. Anyone who follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help. For God helps those who help themselves. Very important statement. So Prabhupada is saying, anyone who follows the process of Krishna consciousness with great determination, the Lord will help. It may be difficult for us. So Prabhupada is saying here, the process of Krishna consciousness may appear to be a difficult job. It may be a difficult job. How are we going to control the senses, the mind? How are we going to cross this ocean of birth and death, all the temptations? It is a difficult job, no doubt. But then if you are determined, what will happen? The Lord will help. For God helps those who help themselves. So we have to be determined. If we are determined, we will see Krishna will give you strength. Krishna will help us. Right? That's why Krishna tells in the Gita, what is that verse? Devi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaya prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So Krishna says Maya is very difficult to overcome, but one who surrenders unto me, I will help him overcome Maya. So Prabhupada is in the beginning is also explaining one should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in attainment of success. Very important line. So Prabhupada is saying, what is he saying? One should be sure of success. One should have faith that I will attain success at the end. And one should continue practicing this process with great determination, great enthusiasm, great patience. Utsaha, Nishtaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartanat, Sangatyaga, Sato Vritte, Shadbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. One should follow the formula that Rupa Goswami is giving us with great enthusiasm, with great determination, with great patience. If we practice bhakti, then what will happen? One will definitely achieve success. And one should not become discouraged. We should not become discouraged. We were in a recent Vrindavan Yatra, we went to the Samadhi of Bilva Mangal Thakur. Bilva Mangal Thakur is the great devotee of Krishna. He is called Leela Shukla, the great poet who wrote Krishna Karnamrit. The most beautiful songs that even Lord Chaitanya would recite continuously. But what is the life of Bilva Mangal Thakur? Bilva Mangal Thakur, even though he was a devotee of Krishna, he still had material attractions. He fell down from this path one time, two times, but he was determined. So one should not be discouraged in this path. They may be failures, but then we should not get discouraged. If you continue like this, attainment is sure. And Prabhupada also writes a very important sentence there. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. One who practices this process very rigidly, like a military soldier who does things very in a disciplined fashion. If you are very rigid in our practice, success is sure. We were in our recent Vrindavan Yatra, we went to the Bhajan Kutir of Raghunath Das Goswami in Radhakund. So Raghunath Das Goswami was so rigid in his practice. It is explained that his sadhana was like a line on stone. A line on stone cannot be wiped. Pakka. Every day he would offer 1,000 times obeisances to Krishna, the deities of Krishna. 2,000 obeisances to the Vaishnavas. Every day he would chant, 300,000 names of God, the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Perfect. Everything he did it perfectly. He would sleep for 30 or 40 minutes a day, drink little buttermilk, that's all, nothing else. He was so rigid in his practice. Sanatan Goswami, every day, even when he was 70, 80 years old, 90 years old, he would walk around Govardhan, do Govardhan Parikrama every day. Haridas Thakur, till this very end, every day he did 192 rounds. So success is sure, provided we are a rigid practitioner. Rigid practitioner means we do things in a very determined fashion. So if you do this, Krishna is saying here, definitely one will achieve him. So one should follow this path with great determination without being deviated. So from text 25, we'll continue the next time. Thank you very much. Anyone has any questions, any comments? यस।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, जैसे आपने कहा अभी कि हरिदास ठाकुर ने वो 192 राउंड्स करते थे, तो वो 192 राउंड्स के लिए ऑलमोस्ट 22.5 आवर्स लग जाता है। मतलब अगर प्रॉपर पर मिनट मतलब सॉरी पर राउंड अगर 7 मिनट्स काउंटिंग पे अगर देखते हैं तो 22.5 आवर्स लग जाता है। तो बाकी तो वो तो सिर्फ मतलब थोड़ा टाइम जितना होता था 1.5 आवर वो तो रेस्ट करते होंगे ना। तो बाकी वो रीडिंग वगैरह जैसे हम लोग को बताया जाता है रीडिंग करो, ये करो, वो करो, टिटिस वर्शिप करो, वो तो से मतलब नहीं कर पाते होंगे, सिर्फ नाम ही करते होंगे ना। तो मतलब इसका मतलब यही हुआ ना कि हम सिर्फ नाम लेके बाकी सब नहीं करे तो चलेगा। आई नो दिस इज अ वेरी सिली क्वेश्चन बट आई एम क्यूरियस टू नो।
या सो बेसिकली देखिए, हरिदास ठाकुर को तो हम इमिटेट नहीं कर सकते, उनका लेवल अलग ही है। मैं वही लास्ट टाइम हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे, हम जो फ्राइडे में बुक डिस्कस कर रहे हैं ना, इन आवर फ्राइडे क्लास वी आर डिस्कसिंग हरिनाम चिंतामणि।
हरिनाम चिंतामणि,
हरिनाम चिंतामणि इज हरिदास ठाकुर एक्सप्लेनिंग लॉर्ड चैतन्य द ग्लोरीज ऑफ होली नेम। आप हरिनाम चिंतामणि पढ़ोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा, हरिदास ठाकुर ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ हरिनाम करते थे, उनको सब शास्त्र पता थे। हरिनाम चिंतामणि पुस्तक इतना टेक्निकल है, ये सब तत्वों को हरिदास ठाकुर उनको पता था, उनका ज्ञान था। जब हरिदास ठाकुर रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी के जो पिता गोवर्धन मजुमदार और हिरण्य मजुमदार उनके घर बुलाते हैं प्रवचन के लिए, हरिदास ठाकुर प्रवचन देते हैं पूरे हरिनाम के महिमा के बारे में। तो पहला तो ये ऐसा नहीं है कि हरिदास ठाकुर को शास्त्र, वो सब शास्त्रों के निचोड़ को जानते हैं, राइट। उनका वो इतना स्तर है क्योंकि वो सब जानते हैं, कंटिन्यूअसली 192 राउंड्स करते रहते हैं। पर हम बाकी गोस्वामी के चरित्र से देखते हैं, जैसे रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी, सनातन गोस्वामी, रूप गोस्वामी, वो हरिनाम भी कर देते हैं, उनके शास्त्र का पठन भी चल रहा था, शास्त्र पुस्तक लिख भी रहे थे। तो हमारे लिए ये जो नवविधा भक्ति है, हमको बेस्ट है कि बैलेंस करके हर अंग करेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा है, क्योंकि हर चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है, श्रवण, कीर्तन, सेवा, सब कुछ। पर फिर भी प्रभुपाद ने ये भी बताया है कि हम थोड़ा तो हर चीज कर सकते हैं, पर अगर हमको लग रहा है कि मुझे हरिनाम ज्यादा करना है, किसी भक्त को हरिनाम पे ज्यादा रुचि होता है, किसी को प्रभुपाद की पुस्तक पढ़ने में, गीता भागवत पढ़ने में ज्यादा रुचि होता है, किसी को विग्रहों की सेवा करने में ज्यादा रुचि होता है, दैट्स ओके, यू कैन चूज, देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम। तो किसी को ज्यादा माला करना है तो ठीक है, थोड़ा कम पढ़ाई हो सकता है, नो इशू, पर थोड़ा तो पढ़ाई होना चाहिए। तो भक्त ये नहीं बोलना चाहिए कि मैं सिर्फ हरिनाम करूंगा या करूंगी, पुस्तक बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ूंगी, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं, थोड़ा तो पढ़ना चाहिए। तो आपके मन में इच्छा है 16 से 32 करना है, 64 करना है, वो सब बहुत बढ़िया कर सकते हैं, फिर भी थोड़ा तो समय निकाल के पुस्तक पढ़ना चाहिए। समझ में आ रहा है?
यस प्रभु जी, ये थोड़ा गृहस्थ लोगों के लिए थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है। तो मतलब ये ऐसा हम की मतलब ऐसा माइंड में आता है कि हम ऐसे मजबूरी में मतलब फंस गए हैं कि ये ब्रह्मचारी लाइफ होती तो अच्छा रहता, कि हम कम से कम सारी मतलब भक्ति के सारे अंग प्रॉपरली फॉलो कर पाते। गृहस्थ लाइफ में ये थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट हो जाती है। तो ये इच्छा होती है कि मतलब गृहस्थ लाइफ से निकल जाए, बट इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल। आई नो
या
इसका कोई सॉल्यूशन भी नहीं है।
नहीं, ये बहुत बड़ा इल्यूजन है कि ब्रह्मचारी लोगों को बहुत टाइम रहता है, ये ऐसा नहीं है। यहाँ इस्कॉन में तो ये नहीं होता, इस्कॉन में ब्रह्मचारी लोगों को इतना सेवा रहता है।
वही मैं बोल रही हूँ प्रभु जी कि सेवा में एंगेज रहते हैं ना, दैट जो हम चाहते हैं हमें नहीं मिल पाती है वही चीज।